Tonight, on the Nation Sports Show, we bring to you our latest recaps of the NCAA men's and women's college basketball tournaments. Tonight, we break down the Final Four and both national championship games, along with the latest breaking news in the NFL, the NBA, and more. It's showtime.
From the gridiron to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
All right, here we go. All right, everybody, here we are. We are live once again. You wanted the best? Well, there's only two of us, so that's about it. It is our Nation Sports Show. It is live once again. We thank you for joining us. I am Ezra here, of course, and it is a two-man show tonight. Unfortunately, Kevin had a personal issue that he had to take care of, an unfortunate tragedy to happen, so we wish him all the best, and condolences as well. Definitely, we hope to see you back next week. And of course, that means it is just the two of us here rocking it out and doing what we do best. So excited to be here, excited to do this. We got to talk about the NCAA Final Four, the men's Final Four and the championship game, as well as the NCAA women's championship game, which we're going to get into as well. Of course, NBA news, NFL news, anything else that may break in between, that'll break live, that may break during the live run here, we'll let you know as soon as we get to it. Of course, you can follow us on right here on the YouTube at youtube.com/OurNationSportsShow. Hit us up on Twitter at Owen_sports_show, Facebook.com, and Instagram.com/OurNationSportsShow. Follow our cohorts in the Nation's Corner on their socials and on YouTube as well at the same time as our show on Saturdays. And they got a busy show to talk about with post WrestleMania coverage, and as well as the sale from by Endeavor buying the WWE and bringing it with the UFC for a grand total of over $24 billion. Of course, they'll talk about that and get a little bit into that, as well as what may possibly come as a part of that. They'll divulge into that more. Also, don't forget to follow my group at Too Sweet Cosplay. We had a successful weekend at C2E2, WrestleMania weekend. Of course, we had Brody King, Danhausen, and Christian Cage this weekend, which was awesome. Great time from our crew. Had basically a near packed room for our panel, which we thank everybody who came out to check it out, and of course anybody who came to our booth, spun our brand new prize wheel, gave away some prizes, gave away signed Finn Balor action figure as well. We gave that away, so thank you to everybody. Don't forget to follow us there at Too Sweet Cosplay across all socials. All right, as I said, there's only two people in this group tonight, and what else? Who else is here? None other than the man who's been on nearly every single episode since this show first started, and that is, of course, my heavy metal brother from North Carolina. I wasn't sure if I could hit that because I've been sick too as well. The one, the only, Mr. Stephen Wyand. Sir, how are you?
Well, you hit that note perfectly. And hey, there was no backing tracks today. It was a live vocal. And speaking of live, this past Sunday, I went to Charlotte, North Carolina, at a little concert venue called the Underground. It's a nice nice small venue. And a band called the Winery Dogs, a super group featuring Richie Coxon on lead vocals, guitar, and piano, the great Billy Sheehan on bass and backing vocals, and one of the greatest drummers to ever walk the planet, Mike Portnoy, also on backing vocals and, of course, the drums. All three musicians, great, talented musicians, playing at a high octane level, just full of just incredible musicianship. Just the songs that they played from their three respective records. Just these guys are they're the best at what they do. They're very skillful. They're just so talented at what they do. And if you have never seen these three live, especially together, if they're touring near you and you have the time to go to one of their shows, check them out, because these guys are the real deal live. Like, they bring it. They're just the energy in that building on Sunday was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I was blown away. And I've been to so many shows, Metallica, Iron Maiden, AC/DC. I mean, you name it. I've been to them. But there, for some reason, from a musicianship wise, this may be my favorite, because these three dudes know how to be like in a jam aspect, but they also know how to simplify things too. That they're very good at mixing that type of stuff. And if you ever get a chance to see these guys live, do yourself a favor, check them out. They're right now, they're on their current tour. Tonight they're in Asheville, North Carolina, and then they're going to be in Tennessee tomorrow, in Knoxville, and then they continue their tour on into the West Coast next month, and then they're going to be overseas in England and Japan, all over the place. Again, check them out live. They're a great band. And speaking of great, we got a great show lined up for you guys, talking about the NCAA men's and women's Final Fours and championship games, plus like I said, the latest news in the NFL, NBA, and more. And with that being said, let's do this, baby.
All right, we got a lot to get into, so let's start with it. Like you said, the NCAA Final Four is pretty much set for which happened this past week, and it was one to behold, man. And it truly was. It ended up coming down to San Diego. Ended up coming down to Miami Hurricanes and Uccon, and Florida Atlantic and San Diego State. And San Diego State was able to pull it off with a tight score, 72-71 in their game.
On a game-winning shot by Lamont Butler. Lamont Butler struggled all game long and hit that game winner. I mean, he said that they were asking him about how did he find that shot, and he said, I was trying to get a clean look, and then the defender cut me off, and I was trying to find some space and create some space, and luckily enough, I was able to find a smidge of a space and was able to get off the shot. And got it off in time, and he won the game. And Florida Atlantic had an unbelievable run in this tournament. This is why we keep saying that the NCAA men's, or just in general, men's and women's college basketball tournament, it is the best tournament in sports, because you never know what team is going to make that magic carpet ride of a run. And Florida Atlantic was that team this past season, a team that did not win a single tournament game up until this year, made an unbelievable they didn't call themselves a Cinderella team, but they were this year's Cinderella team, and they had a hell of a run. They made the run all the way to the Final Four. And mind you, before I continue, that 3 out of the 4 teams, Miami, San Diego State, and Florida Atlantic, 3 out of the 4 teams, for the first time, Final Four bound this year. That hasn't happened since the 1970s. That is insane. It's been that long since you've had multiple teams for the first time in school history making it to the Final Four, and they made an unbelievable run to the Final Four, and they almost pulled it off. In this first half, it was back and forth, for the first half. And hats off to San Diego State's Matt Bradley in the first half. I mean, Matt Bradley was struggling through the last 3 games up until this game, especially in that first half. Because in the first half alone, he had 3 threes in the first couple minutes of that game. And Bradley was just finding his groove and getting off the shots and getting in a good rhythm. And San Diego State built a nice lead. And then Martin and Atlanta, Florida Atlantic, they made a run of their own. And in that first half, they ended up taking the first half lead up 40-33, and they shot 5 of 11 from the 3-point line in that first half. Mind you, in San Diego State's previous 2 games alone, in those games, they held their 2 previous opponents to a combined 5 of 44 from the 3-point line. So alone, Florida Atlantic already had the edge on that defense because their defense carried the Aztecs to where they were at this point in the tournament. And their defense was they were living on the edge, and they were living on the brink of disaster because they couldn't get nothing going. And that second half, they were trailing about 14 points midway through the second half.
What you're saying, Steven, is they are living on the edge and are also flirting with disaster.
Yes, I did. I did mention 2 song references, and you as a rock and roll brother of mine, you got those references. I know all y'all out there that are rock and roll brothers and sisters that love rock and roll and love good music, you got those references too. And I mean, Florida Atlantic had an unbelievable performance in this game, and just the Aztecs just kept chipping away. They were making shots, getting rebounds, but what was keeping them in the game in the second half was the offensive rebounds. Mind you, also another crazy stat in this game, they had 6 offensive rebounds in 59 seconds in the second half. They were just getting second chance after second chance attempts, and they were making Florida Atlantic pay. I mean, every time they had an opportunity at a layup or a 3 or getting free throws, especially the free throws. I mean, even when they were missing their free throws in the second half, Butler and company were still getting the ball and, getting offensive rebounds, and keeping the ball alive and stopping the clock. And Clark Kellogg on the Westwood One broadcast for that game made a great call. He's like, man, they're just killing Florida Atlantic on the glass, because every time that Florida Atlantic had an opportunity to snag the defensive rebound, the Aztecs, they just wanted it more. I mean, they were just chipping away. They were determined to stay in this game. And, and just an unbelievable, determination, from the Aztecs. Their defense carried them all the way to the Final Four. But what got them to this point in this game, especially to the title game, was the offensive rebounds. And just back and forth, this game went down the stretch. And this was the 5th overall game-winning buzzer beater in the Final Four. And this was the first game-winning shot in the Final Four when the winning team was trailing when the shot was attempted. So the San Diego Aztecs made history in retrospective in Saturday's thrilling game, 72-71, to punch their ticket to their first national title game. And FAU had nothing to be ashamed of. Just a team full of class in defeat, and just had a hell of a run, but only one team could win. And the Aztecs did it.
Yes, they did, and they got to move on. And you want to talk about domination? The Uccon Huskies, they took the Miami Hurricanes and ate them alive. 72-59.
I mean, Miami was just they were out for lunch and dinner and breakfast and all the aspects. I mean, just the Huskies were just going into the Final Four. I honestly thought that Uccon was the best team, and it doesn't surprise me.
Listen, Stevie, Uccon outscored Miami 37-24 in the first half.
Mm-hmm. And I had a feeling in that first half, down 37-24, I was like, there's too many weapons. Too many weapons on this Uccon team. Just a young team, just played a great game. And, hats off to that ball club, to that school, and just incredible performance in this game. And Miami just did not stand a chance.
Absolutely. And they moved on to the championship game, which was San Diego State. Actually, yeah, San Diego State versus Uccon, where Uccon once again continued their dominance and became national champions. 76-59, outscoring San Diego State 36-24 in the first half and never letting up on a lead, scoring 40 more points in the second half.
And in that second half, I mean, Matt Bradley and the Aztecs had a chance to get back in this game. To get it, they got it to within single digits, and at one point they got it to win in 5. And just Uccon they made all the stops. They made all that. They're so good on defense, and San Diego State they were just getting desperate, with their shot selection in the final couple of minutes of the game, because they knew that the loss was coming, because the Huskies were just that better than them. They just outshot them. They out-rebounded them. They just outperformed them, in the biggest game. And the craziest thing is about this Uccon school program is this is their 4th championship in the state of Texas.
Yep, absolutely.
Won it in San Antonio, won it in Dallas, and they also won it in Houston.
This must be some sort of good luck charm there for the Huskies, man, because Tristan Newton had a hell of a game. 19 points, 10 boards, 4 rebounds. Sonogo had 17 points, 10 rebounds. Hawkins has 16 points, 4 boards himself. Amazing, great shooting by those 3 players.
And that Hawkins 3-pointer, when they were up by 5, 60-55, and he hit that 3 to put them up 63-55. That was the turning point of that second half. Just when the Aztecs thought that they had momentum on their side, Hawkins's 3 just broke their spirits. I mean, that was a back-breaking 3 that single-handedly flipped the game, around for the Uccon Huskies.
Absolutely. Congratulations to the Huskies on becoming NCAA champions. And once again, showing their dominance like they've had in the past.
And Sonoda was also named the player of the Final Four for the men's.
Nice. Congrats to Sonoda, man. Awesome. Also, if you go to if you type in NCAA tournament, there is actually a special little Google thing where on the bottom corner it actually plays fireworks that are in the colors of the Uccon Huskies.
Very nice.
So pretty cool thing from Google to do that. Like I said, once again, congratulations to Uccon on winning the NCAA men's tournament and becoming NCAA champions. Now we move on.
5th championship.
Yep, their 5th championship. And now we move on to the NCAA women's basketball tournament. And Iowa, which was a team that, of course, that Final Four came to the way it was. LSU taking out Virginia Tech 79-72 in that game, according to some stats here. Of course, in the women's tournament, they play 4 quarters.
4 10-minute quarters, to be exact.
4 10-minute quarters. So a little bit different in the NCAA men's tournament, which is 2, I believe it is, how long are they? Like 15
20 minutes. 20 minutes a half. And that, honestly, that's what I prefer on the men's side, is to 20-minute halves, because the game isn't as long. It's I like that aspect, because 20 minutes each half, boom, that's it.
Yeah, Angel Reese had a hell of a game. 24 points, 10 and 12 boards. Can't forget about Alexis Morris. She had 27 points, 2 boards, 2 assists. High scoring game for her. 16 points for Williams as well. Good performance from them in a pretty, I would say, pretty tight knit game. But in the end, they ended up taking the board lead and not giving it up. So
yeah, and Virginia just couldn't get their shots going in this game. I mean, they just every time they were trying to get established, with their threes and their outside shots, they just couldn't get them going. And LSU they were bigger than them, stronger than them, and they were just out rebounding them, in the critical spots of this game. And they dominated on the glass in this game. And that was a key contributing factor to Angel Reese and the Tigers reaching their first championship game in LSU school history on either men's or women's.
Yep, absolutely. And then you had Iowa, of course, which was led by, of course, Caitlin Clark, who had been making history this entire tournament. They once again put down another big rival, number 1 South Carolina falls.
Shocker.
77-73 in a shocker. Caitlin Clark with 41 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, leading that team by a wide margin. And then Sinanyo with her own 18.3 rebound game as well. Nobody else in that team scored because they really didn't have to score big because they didn't have to.
Yeah, because Monica Sano and Caitlin Clark were the two ones that scored all the points basically. And that was honestly my worry of this Hawkeyes team was Clark is as dominant as she was in this tournament, and Monica Sano had a hell of a game, 18 points in that game, and had a double-double in that game, and she had a great performance. But other than that, outside those two players, they got it done because of Caitlin Clark. I mean, Caitlin Clark in that game, 41 points, 8 assists, or 8 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, including 5 threes. I mean, Caitlin Clark is a talent unlike any other for women's. And she was the player of the year for a reason. And just her incredible superstardom level is going to carry her, for the rest of her journey if she continues with Iowa. And obviously when she goes pro to the WNBA. And I mean, my goodness, just the fact that Iowa absolutely took South Carolina to the very end and held them off. I mean, because South Carolina had multiple chances to win this game, and they just couldn't get it done. I mean, they were Johnson had 13 points in that game. Who's the other player? She had 24. Cook, thank you. Cook had 24, and she only had 4 points in that second half. And that just, you got to contribute, more. And Cook, she was so dominant in that first half, and just they held her off, and they were defending her, and and hats off to their defense, and they were playing very physical, and Caitlin Clark. She is the female Stephen Curry. That's how good she is. She stepped to her left, planted her feet, and hit that and shot off that three deep, and nothing but net. Just unbelievable shooting range by this young woman. And she will be a star in the pros. And I guarantee you, she's going to come away with some hardware. She's going to be a champion in the pros. She's going to be a star in the WNBA. And of course, they held off South Carolina 77-73 to reach their first championship game against the Tigers.
Absolutely. And some of the stats I wanted to point out, Stephen, the team stats, which is what I wanted to get into in this game, as far as the Tigers basically, not Tigers, but
South Carolina.
No. Iowa led a lot in everything.
They did.
But
the one thing they didn't lead on, and I'll let you get to that, is the glass, because South Carolina dominated on the glass. Go ahead.
49-25 in total rebounds, including 26 offensive rebounds for South Carolina, only 5 for Iowa. But Iowa made all their free throws, had better three-point percentage.
They were perfect from the free throw line.
Yep, they were perfect. 14-14, 7-23 from 3-point range, which accounts to 30.4%, compared to South Carolina, who was only 4 for 20 and only had 20%. And as far as free throws go, of course, like you said, Iowa was perfect, where North Carolina, or South Carolina, excuse me, only was 9 out of 13, 69.2%. So those are the big significant keys. But it's also the defensive rebound, or the rebounding was also what kept the game close, because those rebounds that they picked up were critical enough to keep them in it. But of course, they fell short due to the other stats. But moving on, we go to the NCAA tournament game where it was no contest. LSU dominated Iowa. It sent them home 102-85.
The most points scored in a national championship game.
Yep, they listen and pretty much listen to this, Steve. They as far as points go, they were up 40. It looks like it looks like they were up 59. It looks like they were up 59-42. LSU was in the first half.
The turnovers killed the Hawkeyes in that first half. I mean, Kate, that was the one thing that I said going into that game on the way to the concert. I said they cannot turn the basketball over. Now, mind you, in the first couple of minutes of that game, LSU had 3 turnovers that led to 7 Iowa points, and their LSU's head coach was not happy. She was not happy at all. I mean, she called a timeout, immediate timeout, and she got the attention of Angel Reese, and just they just took over. They did not let up. They took the lead, and it was back and forth for the first couple of quarters until the midway point of that second quarter, and then just the Tigers they took over. And Clark, and Iowa made an attempt at a comeback. They got close to within 8, and just the Tigers they never let up. And Clark got her points. She had 30 points in this game. But man, I mean, Angel Reese. What more can I say? Angel Reese is one of the main reasons why the Tigers in school history for LSU is national champions for the women's for the first time, and also obviously in school history, because as great as LSU was as a program, not even their men's side of the bracket never got to a championship game and won.
Nope, not even so. Real quick before I get into some stats on that game, got to give a special shout out to the man in the chat. Our boy, Grovian Mike himself, Elda.
Hey, Elder, I got 2 words for you, bro. Fucking Slayer.
Yes, bro. Yes, so we'll definitely.
That was awesome. Edge coming out to Slayer at WrestleMania this past Sunday.
Absolutely. A great moment for us metal fans, especially. Shout out to my Grovian Mike for checking in on the chat. Thank you, buddy, for the support. You can check him out in the Nation's Corner, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time on youtube.com/Nation's Corner on Saturdays with him, Tony Justice, Debhausen, and Front Row. Check them out. And
they will recap all of the action from WrestleMania Night 1 and 2 in Tinseltown in Los Angeles, California. And also the fallout from WrestleMania on Monday, from this past Monday. And also
the big sale.
Yep. All the big sale. That's right. And they will be recapping all of that madness on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Definitely. Real quick on the stats for this game. Like we said, LSU dominated, and they dominated. The main points they dominated were 3-pointers, which they were 11-17 for 64.7%, where Iowa was only 14-30 for 46.7%. They had a better 3-throw percentage. Total rebounds, though, total rebounds, LSU got those rebounds.
36-26.
Yep. 37-26.
37-26, including 14 offensive rebounds and 14 second chance points.
You were within 1. You're like Eddie Trunk when he does the birthday game on his show.
Yeah, because fun fact, because he was guessing Sebastian Bach's birthday, he was off by 3 years. So he was close.
No, he was only off by 1.
1. That's right.
Yeah. He said 56 and he's 55.
Yep.
I remember that very, very well. Listen to that episode last night. Yeah, but then they also took over in assists and steals, only by 1 though, 8-7. they didn't, and they were down in blocks, but still, overall, LSU played a better game. You take a look at the stat lines. Williams, 20 points, 5 rebounds. Reese had 15 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, double-double. Carson had 22 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. And Morris had 21 points, 2 rebounds, 9 assists. Johnson, 10, 7, and 4. So they had 5 players that scored in double figures during that game. So and everybody on the team contributed. Nobody had 0 points.
Exactly, and that's the danger of a great basketball team is who has the depth, who has the the bench, who has the backup to go to if you get in foul trouble, because that is what killed Iowa. Before you continue, that's what killed Iowa in this game was the foul trouble.
Yep, 19. I believe it was 19 to 18 in personal fouls.
Yes.
Yeah, so both teams were in foul trouble, but Iowa more so. Caitlin Clark, they had 4 players score double figures, but Caitlin Clark, once again, 30 points. Other players scored in Martin scored 13, Marshall scored 12, Zenano scored 13, and Warnock scored 9. But still it was not enough. And once again, the LSU Tigers were for the first time ever in their school's history our NCAA Women's National Champions. Congratulations to the Tigers, and can't wait to see what happens next year. Hopefully, it's going to be interesting to see if they can continue this role heading into their regular season next year.
Exactly, and it's also going to be interesting to see what type of program South Carolina is going to be, because they have some seniors that are going to be WNBA bound, in the draft. And South Carolina has always been a very good program, and they'll be back. And Iowa, they'll be back as well. It's going to be a very interesting scenario to see how far they can go next year, because Caitlin Clark, had one hell of a run this year. And also as well, Angel Reese during the title game mocked Caitlin Clark's "you can't see me" gesture. Obviously in reference, as we all know, from the great John Cena. And it's just so cool that pro wrestling transcends into basketball and football and baseball and hockey and all the sports and stuff.
By the way, Elder, just to let you know, I don't know when I got here. Because that 2-bit old dime store looking fucking Benjamin Franklin looking motherfucker asked that in the chat. So there you go. Oh, God, kill me.
Yeah.
Elder makes it so funny.
He does.
In his own head.
Old
Ass. But anyways, moving forward, that's pretty much it for the NCAA talk. But you know what? We're gonna continue the basketball love, and we're gonna go straight to the NBA. And we are now officially only 4 games left in the NBA season. The NBA regular season will conclude on April 9th. And right now we got some games being played. So let's take a look, see what's going on right now. We got Charlotte leading Toronto right now, 25-21 in the first. You got the Miami Heat leading the Pistons, 24-23 in the first. You got Orlando Magic leading Cleveland, with 2:38 left in the first, 23-17. You got the Bucks leading the Wizards, 24-19 right now. Starting in probably tip-off getting ready to start now is Brooklyn Nets and Minnesota T-Wolves. And then at 8 Eastern, you got Boston and Philly, Atlanta and Chicago, Denver and Houston, Portland and Memphis, Sacramento and New Orleans, the Lakers and Utah Jazz at 9 p.m. Eastern. At 11 p.m. Eastern, Golden State and the Thunder. And then at 10, San Antonio Spurs and the Phoenix Suns to close out tonight's games. In news, and specifically in mentioning the Golden State Warriors, they got some good news today, and that is that possibly, and this is just possibly right now, there's no confirmed, but it was told by Golden State Warriors team doctors and all that Andrew Wiggins could return as soon as this week. So there is a possibility that he could suit up for his first game since February 13th. And what a critical timing that Golden State needs that big man right there, Andrew Wiggins, back in their starting lineup, because he was such a threat last year with the Golden State getting the championship, and he was a very valuable player when it came to boards and shot selection, and just overall his overall ability. And Golden State, we know, has been kind of had an up and down season over these past few months, especially with the injuries to Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, them being out for a while, especially Steph. Steph's missed a lot of time recently due to ongoing injuries. But tonight is a big opportunity if they get Steph back, or not Steph, if they get Wiggins back, to whether it be tonight, whether it be in the next 3 games, they get him back, might be a different Golden State team we could be seeing coming up here.
Exactly. And that right there is going to be a huge, huge turn of events for Golden State, the defending champions, because if they can keep up this momentum and keep that guaranteed final spot in the NBA playoffs to avoid the play-in tournament aspect, Andrew Wiggins is a huge contributing piece to their success from last year, because Andrew Wiggins last year, when Thompson was off, when Green was off as far as the offensive side of the ball, Andrew Wiggins last year in the NBA Finals had a hell of a run in games 4 and 5 and 6. I mean, just Wiggins is a very good defensive player. He's a really good shooter from the perimeter, from the outside, getting into the post. He's a really good defender, containing the best player, the best players on the respective teams, and just knowing where he's supposed to be. And I have no doubt in my mind that Andrew Wiggins is going to be what he was last year. And, he's going to be the reason possibly why Golden State is going to make possibly another run, because as we all know, Steph and Klay are going to do Steph and Klay things. They're dangerous players. And and here's the thing, when Jordan Poole has his head on straight and he's focused, the kid is damn good. He's really good at what he does. But there's just been times, and this is the problem that I have with Golden State. And as you all know, as we all know, in the world of sports, it's hard to defend your championship. It's hard to get back to the championship in any sport. And Golden State can do it, but the problem that I have with Golden State is it's this bait and switch, is on and off, on and off, on and off. Dude, you can't do that in the playoffs, because Draymond Green said a couple of months ago, or whatever it was, that, the games in March March and April don't matter. They actually do. They matter more now than they ever did before, because ever since COVID a couple of years ago, that play-in tournament aspect really makes the games matter even more, throughout the entire season. It's not just an 82-game regular season. Every game matters, because you could either be one of the first 6 teams in the postseason guaranteed locked in, or you could be the 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th seeds that are vying for the 7th or 8th seeds in the East or Western Conference. And the Dallas Mavericks, real quick, the Dallas Mavericks have been struggling big time. And the biggest problem with this team is Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving cannot stay on the court at the same time. The Dallas Mavericks are just, they are not the team they were last year. And Golden State, on the technicality, isn't what they were used to be last year, because Golden State they're not as focused. They're not hungry like they were last year, wanting another championship. So as of right now, let's see, just to highlight this, Philadelphia last week, they took on Dallas. Philadelphia lost 116 to 108. I mean, case in point. I mean, you're losing. You can't lose, they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat, but they're losing the teams that they have to get credible victories. And as a Chicago Bulls fan, that you have to get credible wins to be considered legitimate contenders.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me. Tell me about that, man. Chicago, man, they need all the help they can get. I don't see them making it any farther than where they're at now. It's just too many teams already got their places locked up and already have so I don't see Chicago really doing much of anything. But that's just me being a realist.
Lose to Miami 129 to 122. See, that's what I'm saying. You're losing. Oh man. Oh, Atlanta beat them by 2, 132 to 130. I mean, just going on the box score, they're losing to teams that are vying for spots in their respective conferences, but still, you have to win now. They're done, dude. They're done. I mean, Dallas is pretty much done. I mean, their only chance now is to get in with the 7th seed or the 8th seed if they can, and as we all know, the play-in tournament starts next week. But Golden State, man, they scare me from an aspect that when they're locked in, they're a deadly team. But I don't know, man. I mean, the Western Conference this year is so deep with the Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic is having a hell of a season for the Nuggets. MVP for this year, no questions asked. And no. I mean, I think Golden State can go far, but I don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah, I don't feel like Golden State's. They can go far, of course, but I don't see them going any further than, I would say, probably past the second round, if anything. There's just too much inconsistency with their playing, too much inconsistency with the roster because everybody's been rotating in and out because of the injuries. I mean, like I said, Steph can't seem to stay healthy. Andrew Wiggins is coming back after almost 2 months off. Klay Thompson sometimes is in and out. Same thing with Draymond. Jordan Poole missed some time, so we'll set to see what happens. Right now I'm looking at the standings right now. Right now, as far as if you're the bracket, if it were to end right now, the play-in right now, it would be the Heat versus. It would be right now. It would be the looks like the Raptors are ahead of the Bulls by looks like they are ahead by 1 game as far as 9 and 10 goes. The Bulls are 4 games ahead of the Washington Wizards right now on that 10th spot. So as far as that playing goes, but you have the Bucks, Celtics, 76ers, Cavs, Knicks, and Nets right now that are in that top 6 that are guaranteed, that could get guaranteed playoff spots. And we know most of those teams have already got their spots guaranteed, already clinched. And that's those first 5. Those first 5, the Nets are still questionable because they only have a 2-game lead over Miami right now. Miami could win these next couple games and the Nets could lose a couple, and Miami sneaks in and gets that 6th spot, and then the Nets have to do the play-in tournament. Like I said, the Wizards are basically already eliminated, so they're eliminated from playoff contention anyway. So even if they mess up the Bulls, they'll just be spoilers for them.
Atlanta and Miami right now are holding the 7th and 8th seeds in the East.
Miami and Atlanta, yes, they are. Yes, they are, and there's only a 2-game difference in between that at this time. And then you're looking at right now, as far as that, the only teams that have clinched playoffs in the West are the Denver Nuggets, the Grizzlies, and the Kings. They're the only ones who clinched their divisions, which means picks 4 through 6 are still wide. 4 through 10 is still completely wide open because you got the Suns, who are 9 games back from first, but they are only 2.5 games behind, or 2.5 games ahead of the Clippers. Warriors are tied with them, but the Clippers have the tiebreaker. Then you've got the Lakers, who are only a half game behind them, with the Pelicans tied with them, with the Lakers getting the tiebreaker for the 7th and 8th spots. Then you've got the T-Wolves, who are behind them only by 1.5 games, and then Thunder, who are behind them by 1 game. And then you've got the Mavs, who are only 1 game behind them, and then the Jazz were only a half a game behind them.
It's crazy.
This could flip-flop any which way, depending on how this game, how these next 4 games turn out. That the West right now is completely wide open.
And that's crazy because when you look at the records, I mean, Golden State's 41-38, Phoenix has 43 wins. The Kings have
47.
47, and I
Grizz
mean
have 49.
Yeah, you have teams right there. Clippers over 40 wins. You have those 6 teams could easily make a run to the NBA Finals. I mean, Clippers with 41 wins. I mean, Golden State, and the Clippers had the same exact record. And this could flip-flop. You never know. This could flip-flop. Who would have thought that? Oh man, Lakers at 40-38. I mean, just this play-in thing is going to be very fascinating.
Yeah, like I said, the Lakers and Pelicans are both at the same record, but the Lakers have the tiebreaker right now.
Mm-hmm. And that right there is going to make the play-in tournament rather interesting come next week on the 11th through the 14th, because this is going to flip-flop. This is going to change before you know it. Pretty much in the next couple of days next week, real quick, we will have an idea on who is sitting where.
Yeah, we should be able to know. The regular season officially ends on the 9th. So by the time we come on this show on Tuesday, the playoffs will be set, including the play-in tournament. So next week we will be able to give our predictions on who we see moving forward. Especially, we're going to do next week. I say we do our play-in predictions.
Oh, I agree, because the play-in will be set, and it'll be rather fascinating to see, where this goes. And the playoffs this year are as wide open as they can be, because on the East, you got the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Sixers, the top 3 teams in the East. And then on the West, you got the Kings, the Nuggets, and the Grizzlies. And they can make all 3 of those teams can make a run. Shockingly, I can't believe the Kings can make a run, because the coaching in Sacramento and that team overall, like the laughing stock jokes and all that stuff, it's over. Sacramento has built a program in the NBA, a market for the NBA, that their fans can go, hey, we have a good team. This isn't just a rollover game. Oh, that's an easy victory. We can mark that on the calendar. That's an easy guaranteed victory. The Kings are not the Kings of old.
Yeah, they're not. They're not the Kings of the old days. They are new kings, sire. But I'm looking at right now, if the playoffs were to end right now, as far as the play-in goes, we are looking at, on the West side, we're looking at looks like the T-Wolves and the Thunder and the Lakers and the Pelicans. On the East side, you'd have the Bulls taking on the Raptors and the Heat taking on the Hawks.
Very fascinating matchups. Like, any one of these 8 teams can make it in, because each team has their strengths and their weaknesses. This isn't one of those cases where, this is definitive. You have an idea on who's going to get it. You truly don't know who's going to get it, in the West or the East for these final 2 spots. And hats off to Adam Silver and the NBA, for doing what they're doing with this, because if there is a positivity to the whole COVID pandemic that happened in 2020, that right there was the biggest positivity coming into the NBA playoff scenario, is the fact that they took something that was bad with having no fans and tried something new, but the whole play-in tournament thing. And I was like, hey, that's actually pretty cool, because you're giving teams 1 or 7 through 10 a chance to make it into the playoffs, because now it's not for sure guaranteed who gets those final 2 spots. This honestly reminds me of the NFL with the 7 teams versus the 6 teams into play, versus the 6 teams in each NFC or AFC. I honestly truly like this, because this gives other teams that are vying for the final couple of spots a chance to get in. Because if they can get in and get into the big dance, into the playoff rounds, anything can happen.
Yep, absolutely. And then real quick, in other NBA news, if I can get to the page because it just went out on me, like my phone likes to do sometimes in the middle of the damn show. Gotta love technology. Right now, Joel Embiid and Luka Doncic are in a tight race for the NBA scoring title.
Ooh.
Joel Embiid leads Doncic by 0.22 points per game, setting up what could be the closest scoring race in more than a decade.
Rather interesting numbers right there, because the NBA is all about scoring points in big time ways, and Joel Embiid and Luka Doncic can definitely do that. They can score in buckets, and the NBA is just, it's what's so great about the NBA now is just the diversity. You have all this great talent across the board, with Luka, with Nikola Jokic, who has been on a tear in the NBA with the Nuggets. And the Nuggets are having a hell of a run, a hell of a season, best record in the NBA, best record in the Western Conference, and he's on his way to his third NBA most valuable player trophy. And the biggest thing is, can Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets get it done where it matters the most in the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
The pressure is squarely on their shoulders, because a team like the Warriors, they have no pressure. They've been there so many times. They won them. They lost them. The pressure on the Suns is firmly there. Can Kevin Durant deliver a championship to Phoenix, unlike CP3 or Devin Booker could not? And that's the problem with Phoenix, man, is they can't stay healthy. They can't stay healthy. And the biggest problem with them is, can their defense be consistent? Because DeAndre Ayton can only do it but so much. Can only carry that defense on his back but so far. And by getting rid of Bridges, getting rid of Cam Johnson, that a couple of weeks ago in that trade deadline back in February, that just still has me scratching my head. Like, you get rid of your best defensive assignments, and I get it. Everybody loves offense, and Kevin Durant single-handedly propelled the Golden State Warriors to back-to-back titles in 17 and 18, excuse me. And KD can do it. Listen, he's won multiple championships, and we can't deny that. But I don't think Phoenix can go far in these playoffs if their defense doesn't show up, and if Booker or Durant or even Chris Paul cannot stay healthy. Because if either one of that big three cannot stay healthy, if it's just one of three healthy, they're not going to go far. You can't have one guy scoring all the points. It's got to be a well-oiled machine. And when Booker's healthy, when Chris Paul's healthy, when Kevin Durant's healthy, they are a dangerous team. But they had to give up a lot of assets to get that one great superstar. And it could definitely be a huge gamble, good or bad.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Really, outside of that, there really isn't a lot of NBA news.
Now, real quick as well. Last week, the Celtics and the Bucks. Now, it's funny. We were on the sports show last week. We were in the midst of the show, and the Celtics were getting destroyed by the lottery-bound Washington Wizards. They were losing by over 20, 30 points. And then they come out on national television and absolutely thrash Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks, the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, by 40. By 40. They absolutely demolished the Bucks on national television. Just when you thought that Tatum and company, couldn't do it, they did. And they absolutely made the Bucks look foolish. And when Al Horford has it going, he is the lethal weapon along with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And to me, Al Horford he's the engine. He's the extra boost of energy, the engine that keeps that team going. I think the Celtics, if they're focused like they were the other night on Thursday, I think the Celtics, they are the best team in the NBA. But when they are not healthy, or not excuse me, when they're not focused, they are not the same team. Because when they're laser sharp focused, they can get the job done. But when they're not sharp and laser sharp focused, they're not going to go far. You can't take games off in the playoffs. I'm sorry.
No, you can't. And I would say pretty much I don't have anything else at this point for NBA news. That's pretty much it. It's been a light week. Of course, we're heading into the final couple of games. Like I said, next week we will cover the play-in and, of course, take a little preview of the playoff picture as it stands now. But, of course, we can't really get deep into it until we get to the until the play-ins have concluded. But next week, hopefully with Kevin back, we'll give our predictions on the play-in. And, of course, everything else on the sports show as well. We're going to go ahead and get into some NFL news. Of course, we got to do some NFL. What's up, Steven? What you got?
And just to add to this, too, I mean, the Celtics, they sent this message to the Bucks letting them know, hey, even if you are number one, we're coming for you, because they beat them on the road in the playoffs last year. And, I think that this could be a telltale sign that if the Celtics and the Bucks do meet up in the Eastern Conference Finals, this could go 7 games. And I'm here for it.
Yep, absolutely. Now on to some NFL news, and just a quick programming reminder when it comes to the NFL. The NFL draft will be coming up April 27th through the 29th. On the NFL Network, ESPN, and ABC.
Yep.
Just wanted to get that out there in case people don't know what the dates are. That way nobody feels left out. If Adam Schefter's page would load. I don't know what has to be corrected. Fucking Twitter or Adam Schefter's tweets when something goes wrong. Here we go. Here's one quick news story. The Raiders have hired former Patriots wide receiver Danny Amendola as their new coaching assistant and returners coach.
Oh.
Amendola joins former Patriots employees such as Josh McDaniels, David Ziegler, and quarterbacks Jimmy Garoppolo and Brian Hoyer, which that's another one. Brian Hoyer has signed a 2-year deal to back up in New England.
Yep, it's a Patriot damn reunion down there in Sin City.
Will it do anything? Will it do anything? Probably not, but
Randy just cannot escape the ghost of the Patriots and the Raiders land.
All he needs now is Tom Brady to own the team. Randy would just go DEFCON 1 and fucking explode.
Yes.
Be like a nuclear bomb going off. Big news story that's developed this afternoon. Former Cardinals executive Terry McDonough filed an arbitration claim today to Roger Goodell against Cardinals owner Michael Bidwell, alleging cheating, discrimination, and harassment. Bidwell said the claims are baseless.
Interesting.
We usually don't go through drama and politics, but I wanted to get that out there. Georgia defensive tackle Jalen Carter visited the Bears yesterday.
Ooh, nice.
It is his second visit. He has already visited the Eagles. It says he's declining visit requests for any team drafting outside the top 10 picks.
Man, you know what? I think, hot take. I know the draft is only a couple weeks away, but I think Chicago's going to pick him. But then they're going to pick him when they get to him.
And that's one of the things that we need. I've always said we need a tighter defense and more offensive linemen.
Exactly. Because that's the one thing they need is defensive players.
Yes. Also, we want to talk about NFL. I mean, come on, we got to talk about NFL representation at WrestleMania.
Yes.
The return of Mr. Pat McAfee. Mr. Pat McAfee came back and had a match with The Miz, a preemptive match created by none other than the Snoop D-O Double G Dog. And of course, The Miz decided to get in the face of somebody else who's a notorious wrestling fan.
Oh, that'll be one George Kittle.
One George Kittle from the San Francisco 49ers, who happens to be good buddies with one Penta El Cero Miedo.
Yes.
But with that being said, George Kittle actually delivered a huge clothesline to The Miz and set him up for a swan dive by Pat off of the top rope to the floor.
Seriously, could you imagine Pat and Kittle working together? It would be awesome.
I told you about a month ago that to me the ultimate football tag team in pro wrestling would be George Kittle and Pat McAfee.
I'm here for it. Sign me up.
Because they're both truly passionate about the business and don't mind getting physically involved.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, George Kittle has to be more careful because, of course, he's still an active player. But
McAfee has all the free range with him not being an active player anymore.
Yeah, so if Pat's not active no more, so so that's a whole different story. But imagine that.
Just imagine. Yes, be great. Great.
Imagine all the people. Oh wait, we're not going that route.
Yes.
The other day, DeMar Hamlin visited the White House, and he told President Biden that he thinks he'll be able to play again. But to be clear, DeMar Hamlin is still undergoing testing and has not been cleared to play yet by any medical professionals or team doctors.
Man. You know, it's so remarkable, this young man, that he was just the hats off to that medical staff in Cincinnati. You know, it's still hard to believe that happened 4 months ago. And he literally stopped the NFL. But the one thing he did do most importantly is he brought the entire world together. Not just the sports world, but the entire world together to bond. And just this young man is full of life. And I'm so glad he's still here to share his story and his testimony in front of the entire world. And just so thankful that he's still with us.
Absolutely, man. It's a miracle he's still with us. We go into, unfortunately, somebody who's no longer with us, and that is Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor would have been 40 as of 3 days ago. So
yep.
Definitely, it would have been 40 years old. Other sad news to report, unfortunately, is Packers Hall of Fame fullback John Brockington has passed away at the age of 74. He died last Friday. He was the ninth choice of the 1971 NFL draft. He rushed for 1,105 yards as a rookie, averaging 5.1 yards per carry. It was named the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. He teamed with MacArthur Lane to get the Packers to their only NFC Central Division Championship between 1967, Vince Lombardi's last season as a coach, in 1995. So, yeah, so he definitely was a beast out there and was a big force to be reckoned with in the Packers during that time. So, all the best to his family and friends, and all the best to everybody who knew and loved him. So, rest in peace.
Yes.
Shout
out so quick into the chat. What's up, William? How you doing, sir? Randy's dad.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Welcome to see. Good to see you there, William. Hope you're doing well, sir. Eagles are signing former Saints defensive tackle Kentavious Street. Street racked up 6 sacks for the Saints last season on 518 snaps he played. Street now joins safety Justin Evans as the second free agent this offseason to go from New Orleans to Philly.
Interesting.
The Vikings have announced, or the Bengals have announced they signed former Vikings tight end Irv Smith Jr. to a 1-year contract. Also, other quick signings, real quick. Former Jaguars wide receiver Marvin Jones announced that he is returning to the Lions.
Nice.
So the Lions get a big boost on that offensive game. So glad to have. I know they're glad to have Marvin Jones back. Marvin Jones is expected to make. They're expected to sign a 1-year, $3 million deal up to $5 million with the Lions, per source. Free agent defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins, who was traded to Dallas last October, is returning to the Cowboys on a 1-year deal, per source. And outside of that, that pretty much concludes NFL news stories as far as that front goes.
That may conclude the stories, but there is one topic I do want to bring up when it comes to the NFL, and that is obviously, as we all know, last week, Lamar Jackson with his huge demands to the Ravens. Pay me guaranteed money, $250 million. That is still the one thing that has still been in my head since last week on this show is the fact that he's guaranteeing that he wants that kind of guaranteed money. Nobody is going to pay you that kind of money when you haven't produced the results in the playoffs. Now, I do agree that he needs to be paid by Baltimore because he is their best player. Because let's be honest, he doesn't have the talent that Mahomes has, with teammates around him, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, they have talent around them, but Jackson really does not. So I understand where he wants to get paid, but that is just too much money to be asking for. And we can blame one Deshaun Watson for this huge money price asking from Jackson. It's complete bullshit.
Yeah, he set the precedent. He set the precedent for it.
Yes.
To me, I've questioned, is he worth that? Is he worth that big amount of money? I mean, he's got great play. Don't get me wrong. He's a great player, got great skills, but due to injuries and other things, I don't know. It just affects his draw and affects his ability. I don't know. Could he demand? He could demand that money all he wants. The question is, will he get it? I don't know if teams are willing to spend $250 million on Lamar, and that's no slight to him and his ability, but I don't know if teams are going to be willing to put that much capital down on a player who has had injury issues. And look, to be honest, he's not on the level of a Patrick Mahomes. He's not on the level of a Justin Herbert. He's not on the level of whoever it may be. Whoever all these quarterbacks are in the league. We said this last week on the show. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, let alone because you got to remember, he's acting as his own agent. So,
and that's the biggest problem is when you're acting as your own free agent or acting as your own agent, excuse me, you think what you're worth. But when you have an agent involved, they can help you out and say, hey, this is what they're offering. Do you take it, yay or nay? And by him end up being, just representing himself as his own agent, that's stupid. I'm sorry.
It is. But, these guys are now trying to come out and say they're agents, or they got family members as agents and they're trying to do it that way. To me, you need an agent to me who has the negotiating skills, the reputation to be able to make these deals and try to get that type of money and say, hey, look at what my player could do for you. Look at what this player could do for you. He's got this skill. He can throw real good. He can run the ball. He's got a great IQ. He's got a cannon for an arm. Look, we're trying to get this much out of money. We may be able to negotiate, but my client wants this amount of money because he feels like he's worth it. This is Lamar trying to do it. Is doing a do-it-yourself approach, and I give him a lot of to say. It takes a lot of balls to do that. But if you're being honest with yourself, and you got to be honest with yourself when you're looking at it from this way, being your own agent has its ups, it has its downs. Being your own agent allows you to control what you want. It allows you to control your demands without having to pay somebody else to do it for you. The downside on that is the lack of experience in negotiations and being at the table with other teams. And that's where Lamar Jackson lies, is that he does not have the experience that actual agents have. And to me, that's what he needs more than anything. He needs a real agent, but it's Lamar. We're going to let him do it. We let him do his thing. We'll see what happens. That's all we can do.
And I'm just waiting, and we're just waiting. All of us are waiting with our bated breaths. When the hell is this Aaron Rodgers New York Jets still going to commence? Don't worry, we'll wait.
And as the countdown continues, we see one more. I guarantee you, by the time the contract is signed and all the players are traded off, Aaron Rodgers will be at least one more darkness retreat.
Yep.
He'll come out like Shawshank Redemption. One other news note: the Buffalo Bills have finalized an agreement under a new stadium with the state and with the county.
Nice.
So they said it could possibly happen by June 1st. They're going to break ground for their new stadium.
Nice.
Detailed 30-year lease to the Erie County legislature. So it's going to cost an estimated $1.4 billion to take care of.
Ooh.
A lot of money, but these stadiums, even the new one the Bears are looking to build over in Arlington Heights, is a lot of money too. We'll see what happens. Hopefully this new stadium is going to help them out, and we'll see. That's it as far as the NFL goes, but we do have some Major League Baseball stuff to talk about because the season has begun.
Yes, it has.
And since there's some games on right now, let's go ahead and go through them real quick. Right now, Cincinnati is leading Chicago 3-1 in the top of the 6th. Marlins are beating the Twins 1-0 in the top of the 7th. Tampa Bay and Washington are tied at 4 apiece in the bottom of the 4th. The Phillies are leading the Yankees right now 2-0 in the top of the 5th. Sorry, Neil.
Pirates are beating the Red Sox 4-1.
Oh, is it 4-1?
Yeah, 4-1 at the top of the 3rd.
Okay. Which one? Well, Pittsburgh?
Yeah, yes, Pittsburgh. That is
because according to my thing, they're at the top of the 5th, and it's 3-1.
3-1. Sorry, yeah, 3-1. Yep.
Yeah, top of the 5th.
3-1.
Yep. Kansas City leading Toronto 1-0 in the bottom of the 2nd. Milwaukee Brewers leading the Mets top of the 3rd with 2 men on, 1 out. The Braves leading Cards bottom of the 2nd 3-0. Tied at 0 apiece, 2 on, 2 outs. Baltimore Orioles and the Texans or Texas Rangers, and tied at 0 apiece right now is Detroit and the Astros. And then later tonight we still got the Cleveland Guardians and the Oakland A's. The Angels of Anaheim taking on the Mariners. The Rockies taking on the Dodgers. Diamondbacks taking on the Padres. Or no, that happened earlier today. Cards beat the Padres. Or not Cardinals, sorry. I'm seeing Arizona, I think, football. Because really Diamondbacks suck anyways. They beat the Padres 8-6.
Ooh, offensive game. Nice.
Yep, beat them earlier today. So that's what's going on in the world right now. Let's see. Seiya Suzuki designated hit the other day in Arizona. During getting ready to come back to Chicago here shortly. Injury updates real quick to Max Kepler. He exited the Twins Monday night game against the Marlins at the top of the 4th with right knee soreness, having apparently sustained an injury running to first base. Johnny Cueto and Joey Wendell from the Marlins are both out. Cueto left with experiencing right bicep tightness. An MRI revealed no structural damage. He was placed on a 15-day IL. And then window was scratched due to oblique soreness, and it was placed on a 10-day IL. Madison Bumgarner from the Diamondbacks, good old Madison Bumgarner. He felt fatigued after a season debut against the Dodgers and was sent back to Phoenix to be evaluated by team doctors. An MRI came out clean, so he's scheduled to take his next start on normal rest as long as everything goes well. Joe Musgrove of the Padres pitched 5 innings in a backfield game at the team's spring complex on Friday, dealing with a fractured toe. Carlos Rodon for the Yankees threw 30 pitches in a bullpen session on March 27th after he felt comfortable dealing with a mild left elbow strain. So Seiya Suzuki, he's scheduled to take 2 at-bats at designated hitter during a Tuesday game in Arizona today. He also had 2 at-bats in a simulated game Monday while playing 4 innings of defense. It was the outfielder's first at-bat since injuring his left oblique in late February. So slow recovery for Seiya Suzuki. Hopefully the Cubs will get him back. And that's pretty much the injury updates right there. And as far as standings go, my White Sox not doing the greatest, but they're doing all right, I guess. They are up right now to 3rd in the AL Central, with a record of, I believe it is 3-3, no 2-2. With a record of 2-2, they got blown out by the Giants yesterday, actually. Okay, yeah, so they're 2-3 actually. They got blown out by the Giants 12-3.
Ooh.
Kicked the absolute hell out of us. Including scoring 5 runs in the 9th inning. 5 runs in the 9th, 4 in the 5th. So they did not let up at all. So I'm excited for this MLB season, and I can't wait to see how this all plays out.
And who knows, because it's going to be a long season, to see what teams that did not make the postseason last year, what teams can make another run. What teams can make a run again, and what Cinderella teams are we going to see as the season, gets going. There's a lot of games to go, and see which teams can make a nice run.
Yep. Also, real quick, Luke Rockhold has announced that he is coming back. Luke Rockhold will, since we're done with baseball, we're going to go on MMA news now. Real quick, I have a few news notes on that, actually. Real quick. Luke Rockhold has decided to end his retirement, and he will be fighting for the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships.
Oh, interesting.
Yep, he had a press conference today where he will be. This press conference featured Luke Rockhold, Mike Perry, Eddie Alvarez, Chad Money Mendez, Big Ben Rothwell, and Christine Faria. The details of the press conference. It looks like there could be a fight coming up between Mike Perry and Luke Rockhold after Mike Perry picked his nose and rubbed it on Luke Rockhold's shirt. Oh, they will square up. Mike Perry and Luke Rockhold. They will square off in a 185-pound bout at BKFC 41, which takes place April 29th at the First Bank Center in Denver. Main card will stream online, Fight TV, for $49.99. Let's see. Chael Sonnen has some pointed comments, as Chael Sonnen does.
Of course he does.
About Francis Ngannou and his negotiating dealings with the UFC that led to his dismissal.
Of course, Chael had to open up his mouth about this.
He said Francis Ngannou was like a deer in the headlights and told him to wake up and call Dana White.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so and of course Chael has never been afraid to mince words when it comes to stuff like this. So I expect there's gonna be some rebuttal from Francis Ngannou for sure. Real quick, let's see. Anything else real quick before we move forward on this? According to quick betting odds thing right here, Israel Adesanya is the betting favorite against Alex Pereira coming up at UFC 287. And then of course, real quick, I don't want to get too much into it because I want to save that for our folks in the Nation's Corner. But as we mentioned earlier, we talked about a sale, and that is that the parent company of the UFC, Endeavor, has officially merged with the WWE, and the WWE UFC will be brands together under one parent company on a $24.1 billion sale. So with that being said, it's going to be interesting to see what the rest of the week will divulge and what other things will change going forward, not only for pro wrestling but for MMA in general, and will we see crossovers? Because Conor McGregor, of course, has expressed his interest to be a part of pro wrestling, and has expressed, of course, talk shit about pro wrestlers, which has draw the ire of one tribal chief, Roman Reigns, at one point before he even garnered a tribal chief nickname. So definitely that's going to be talked about, all that on the Nation's Corner, of course, this week, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on Saturday. There's your third plug for today.
Yep.
Of course, we plug anything that we're not getting paid for. So it's not like I'm going to plug these AEW trading cards, which you can find at your local retailer. Don't ask. I'm tired here.
It was a long weekend for you, bro. You were in Chicago at C2E2 and WrestleMania this past weekend.
Nutty weekend, man. Nutty weekend. Got to meet Big Bad Brody King this weekend as well, which was awesome to meet Brody and getting to talk to him for a brief second. He was a real nice guy. A real humble guy for being, a trios champion in the number 2 wrestling company right now on the planet, and having the success that he's had, wrestled in New Japan, done a lot of crazy stuff, but the man is a humble guy, and I'm glad I got to meet him and spent the money to do so. And you had a great weekend yourself, like you said. You got to see the winery dogs and all that stuff, and that was fun.
Dude, this is a band I've always wanted to see live, because I just love the musicianship in that band, because just how tight they are as players. I mean, Richie and Coxon and Billy Sheehan and Mike Portnoy, just 3 of the badass musicians walking the face of this planet. So great at what they do on their instruments, and just a great crowd. I had some friends that were there as well. I met some new friends down there, and they were introducing me to some bands that I never heard of. And there's a lot of good bands out there, that nobody's never heard of. And, and you have to find them, bands like Mojo Thunder and the Dirty Streets. I mean, there's just good young rock and roll. You have to find them. They're out there. And I was checking out those 2 bands after the concert when I got home. And I'm like, man, these dudes rule. Good bands, good young bands. But the show was great. I mean, just no opening act. Show started at 8:00. Came on 90 minutes, kicked ass, took names, went home happy. It was just a great show. I mean, and I was reading an interview by Mike Portnoy, and he said that getting with the set list and stuff, that he likes to balance their set list with, now that they had 3 records. And I thought the set list was very balanced well. Representing all 3 of their records, and just a great show. I mean, just blew me away. I mean, I knew these guys were good, but man, live, just the energy was just it was insane. Like, it was great. It was great. And, speaking of music, I mean, I know you're looking forward to this, myself, Tony, Elder, all of us that are metalheads. We are looking forward to the mighty Metallica next Friday, releasing 72 Seasons, their 11th overall album on their second record on Blackened Recordings. And just, man, so far this album, it's blown me away. What they released so far. And this title track to this new album, which will kickstart the album, it's a banger. It is a banger. It's a great song.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. Now, come out next week. Definitely everybody check it out. Of course, my name is Metallica coming out with some new music. Outside of that, Steven, I think that's it for the show today. I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else you might want to discuss?
I think I'm good, man. Again, WrestleMania this past week, night 1 and night 2 in LA. Overall, I thought I'll say night 1 I thought was better than night 2. Just the flow was better. There were some good stuff, including Edge coming out to South of Heaven from Slayer. That was awesome on night 2. That was amazing. Amazing. I loved KO and Sammy versus the Usos and for the tag titles in the main event. And the main event, listen, I'll briefly give my opinion on this. Cody and Roman went out there in the ring and did the damn thing. But for the first time in a long time, I love and hate it at the same time. Because as a wrestling fan, when you're that invested into a babyface, and then when the good guy loses by like that, you're leaving scratching your head going, why did this happen? Why did that happen? The questions are not even answered yet.
Nope.
Like, we don't even know what's going to happen. And Cody is so over right now as the babyface, and I don't know where the hell they're going with this, because last night Brock Lesnar beat the living hell out of Cody for 10 minutes in the beginning of the night, which was the best segment of the night. And let's be honest, Raw last night was not that good. I will say that I thoroughly enjoyed the opening segment because that established Roman as a heel that is hated because, he continues to cheat and get over, on the good guys. And Cody is the guy. Cody is a mega ultra baby face. When his music hits, by the way, the other day, the night 2 of Mania, the day of the concert, I had Kingdom in my head all day long. It's such a good song. Such a good song. And I did enjoy the main event, but man, I get where they're going with this, but this is a huge gamble because the key thing is, can you keep the young wrestling fan engaged for another year? Because that's where this is heading. This is heading to Philadelphia with Cody versus Roman in Philadelphia at WrestleMania 40. That's pretty much where this is heading. But can you keep the fans enthralled? Can you keep them enjoyed? Can you keep them on the edge of their seats? Knowing how good the story has been, yes, possibly, but damn, a missed opportunity to get Cody the belt. But at the same time, again, if he beats Roman and wins the belts, what's next for Cody? It's a lot of mixed emotions. By him not winning, the chase is still there. I get it, but damn, a missed opportunity to give Cody the belts. But we shall see. And the Nation's Corner will be live this Saturday. Front row, Tony Justice, Deb Housen, Mongrovian Mike, recapping the week of wrestling, including WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday from Los Angeles, California, and also recapping the happenings on Raw from last night, including that devastating beatdown by Brock Lesnar to Cody Rhodes. And I will say this about Sunday. For those that were not able to hear the commentary initially, and then when they went back and heard the commentary, Michael Cole's commentary during the ending when Roman beat Cody and the ending of that was absolutely perfect. Cody Rhodes has suffered an American nightmare tonight. That was a perfect line by Cole. Whether we like it or not. Damn. Dude, I have not had that feeling. I know you were scratching your head. I was scratching my head. We were all scratching our heads at that moment this past Sunday. Like, it was crazy.
Well, it's set to see how it all plays out, and trust me, there's plenty of time according to that to see it play out. We'll have to see. But outside of that, Steven, you got
I'm good.
else? Final thoughts?
Final thoughts from me. Great show with you tonight, bro. And I would like to say, unfortunately, my family has suffered a loss in the family. Mine and Kevin's aunt unfortunately passed away over the weekend. Thankfully, she is no longer suffering, and just keep us in our thoughts and your prayers as our family goes through this tough time. And she was a great woman, and she was a great woman. She loved her family, she loved her son, she loved her husband, and just it sucks, man, but I cherish the memories of knowing who she was as a person. She was a kind soul. And I not only do I miss her, but I still miss her son, because her son was a huge rock and metal head, and he was the one that got me into a lot of the hard and heavy stuff that I listen to this very day, like the Soundgardens, the Alice in Chains, the Metallicas, and all of that stuff. And just they are now reunited together. And I know he loved her. I know she loved him. They loved and missed each other, and now they're together for eternally. And again, to my aunt, I love you. I'll see you on the other side. And I'll miss those phone calls that we had from time to time, just catching up, the last couple of years. And it sucks, but I choose not to be sad. I choose to, even though it sucks, this is a part of life, but I choose to, reminisce, and just think about the good things in life, with the people that you love and support. And I know Kevin's got that going on, and I send my well wishes to the nieces and nephews, and to her other son, her youngest son, him and his wife and his kids that are going through this tragedy. And it's tough, but we'll get through it, man. But other than that, great show with you tonight, man. Talking about the NFL, the NBA, baseball, college basketball wrapping up. Baseball is just getting started. The NBA play-in tournament is about to commence next week, and that will be set in stone next week. And also the NBA playoffs are set in stone next week on April the 15th. And also, I can confirm that next weekend on April the 15th, me, Kevin, and Joey from the sports show are going to be getting together, hanging out and having a good time, and just shooting the breeze and having fun. And maybe Kevin and Joey will start playing some Madden, who knows, but that'll be a lot of fun. And can't wait to hang out with some of the crew next Saturday. And you can follow us on Owen_sports show, Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show. Also, don't forget, we are live right now on YouTube.com/Our Nation Sports Show. And also, don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner. Everywhere else on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, it is at the Nation's Corner. And don't forget, this Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific, the Nation's Corner will be live to recap all of the happenings from WrestleMania weekend in Los Angeles, California, and the fallout from Raw and SmackDown from this week. And obviously, AEW will be live in Long Island tomorrow night, and it will be MJF Day, that no good piece of shit fuck. And that should be rather interesting with MJF tomorrow night in Long Island. And again, everybody will be live this Saturday. Catch the guys and gal as they recap the happenings in professional wrestling from this past week. And with that being said, Ezra, wrap this up, my friend.
All right. Thank you to everybody for joining us for the show this week. We thank you to, of course, Mongrovian Mike for checking in, William Gyra for checking in as well. We thank everybody who's watching us now or video or on demand later. Don't forget to follow Too Sweet Cosplay across all socials. Don't forget to follow our individual socials as well. Don't forget to follow the show channel, Nation's Corner, all that good stuff. So with that being said, for Stephen Wyand, myself, Kevin, Joey, Randy, and everybody else, I am Ezra Vickery, and we will see you right here next week for another great edition of our Nation Sports Show. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we will see you all next time. Peace out, mothers.